Greetings, brothers and sisters of the Rock Church. I miss you. It's been a while, given all the stuff that's going on, but I'm glad, and I was happy that Pastor asked me to speak to you on this special day for fathers, about Father's Day, and a devotional with respect to that. He gave me a limited time, but I'm going to do the best of it. I found a piece that was titled "The Father." I'm going to read it, and I'm sorry I have to have glasses, but anyway, your children at 4 years old, this is what they say. My daddy can do anything. At 7 years, my dad knows a lot, a whole lot. At 8 years, my father doesn't quite know everything. At 12 years, oh well, naturally father doesn't know everything. At 14 years, father, hopelessly old-fashioned. At 21 years, oh, that man is out of date. What did you expect? At 25 years, he knows a little bit about it, but not much. At 30 years, your children say, must find out what dad thinks about it. At 35 years, a little patience. Let's get dad's meaning first. At 50 years, what would dad have thought about that? At 60 years, my dad knew literally everything. At 65 years, I wish I could talk it over with dad once more. We're a society searching for a model father. And what's a model father? Well, Jesus gave us in Luke 15:11-32, he gave us what the model father was in the parable of the prodigal son. And if you'll bear with me, I'm going to read that scripture because I think it's important to remember the details of what he told us in that parable. And he said, there was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me. And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing, and he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. And he said to him, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. So the model father, Jesus told us that parable. He gave us the example of the model father. And I just want to make out 7 points real quick. The first one is that the model father teaches the truth from infancy onward. In Israel, the Mosaic law, it was the Lord our God is one Lord. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children. Talk of them when sitting in your house, when you're walking by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. Live as I teach is what I need to do, what you need to do. We need to live the word that we teach. Also living under God's teaching and authority. The second thing that a model father has is respect for individual autonomy. Meaning he didn't play games, the father in the parable, he didn't play games with his son. His son came to him and said, this is rightly mine, I want it. And so he didn't try to blackmail him, he didn't try to shame him, didn't try to guilt him. He let him be an adult. He knew he was human and not some pre-programmed robot. As my daughter would say, go live your best life. And so that's what they're saying today. Anyway, so he went off to live his best life. He didn't compare him to the good brother. He gave him what he asked for, as would eventually be his right anyway. The third thing that the model father does, he does not stand in the way of consequences. He was rich enough, he could have hired one of his detectives to go with him and keep an eye on him and protect him and make sure that he didn't get in trouble, but he didn't do that. He didn't keep a watch on him. He didn't try to guilt him, like I said earlier. And as much as he knew that there was trouble ahead, and with his heart breaking, he lets go. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. He wasn't perfect. And you know what I believe. So this is what he would be telling him. You know what I believe. You know who I am. You know what we've got. But here you go. Go ahead. And the fourth thing that a model father has is a love that refuses to give up. Most of us have a breaking point. We're human. But it's important to live, and Jesus tells us this, important to live with a broken heart. Jesus said, in this world, you will have trouble. Take courage. I have overcome the world, he said. So, we are called to continue doing what God has called us to do, in spite of the heartache and the heartbreak. Jesus said, but while he was yet at a distance, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. The love that refuses to give up. And the fifth thing that a model father displays is forgiveness. He's forgiving. When he first saw the son and he ran and embraced him, he didn't say, I told you so. He didn't say that. He didn't have any kind of vindictiveness in his voice. He didn't have any of that in his spirit. So he didn't tell him he was no longer worthy. In fact, he never even gave him really a chance to say, I want to be your servant. He immediately told the other servants, go get, and we're going to have a feast. Get him a robe. He gave him his robe. And in that time, the robe meant honor. He gave him his honor back. And he gave him authority by putting the ring on his hands. And the shoes to indicate that he was a son again, not a slave, because the slaves didn't wear shoes, mostly. And he didn't put him on probation. It's not like he said, hey, you know what, we're going to do a little time of making sure that you're not just playing games. But he set him up. So how do I do when I compare myself to the model father? I need to work on it. I need to study. I need to be more loving. I need to make improvement, and I need to develop. So the sixth thing that a model father is a celebrative person, one that celebrates the right things. He doesn't, like I said, he doesn't give him a chance to say he'll be a servant. He just calls for a feast and a banquet immediately because he wants to celebrate. My son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now is found. He doesn't test again to see if his son is serious about what he's doing or might break his heart again. He proceeds with the celebration. Are you a celebrative person? I have to learn, I have to grow, and continue to develop on that as well. The seventh and final thing that the model father is willing to live with ambiguity. What does that mean? Well, ambiguity meaning we don't know. It wasn't definite. We don't know the end of the story. The older son is angry, we know that, and he proclaims his faithfulness. And how does his father respond? His father responds by acknowledging his faithfulness. But again, he still makes no demand for performance on the younger brother. He just loves him unconditionally. As parents, as father, as a mother, there are no guarantees. The model father accepts this as a fact of life, that there are no guarantees in life, and continues to do what God has called him to do. The reward is not, well, I was a good father, or someone saying, wasn't I a good father? But rather, the reward is, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter into your eternal rest. So remember that God is the model. You and I are not perfect. We must be willing to say, I'm sorry, when I am wrong. The key is that I am willing to stand by the children God has given me when they are wrong. Thank you. Happy Father's Day.